Hey girl, welcome back to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alcycia Darby. Today's special guest is Kerry Damiano. Now, Kerry was Miss Idaho USA many, many years ago, as she would say, before I was born. But she has so much experience now as a pageant coach and a judge. So she's been an ongoing judge for several Miss USA state pageants and has tons of insight for you in this episode about just that. She's going to be sharing advice on what should women be preparing for as they step onto the stage for Miss USA, and advice for women who are just getting started in pageantry. Plus, one of my favorite things that we talk about in this episode, which she is all about, she's so good at this, personal branding, and she talks in depth about her own personal brand, how she came around to it, and specific practical advice that you can use immediately to discover your own brand for your pageant and how to really dress the part. So she's also going to be speaking at the expo this year, March 2018. So if you want to meet her there, we talk all about it in the episode. So you'll get all of the scoop. Without further ado, please welcome Kerry. Hi, Kerry. Welcome to the Win a Pageant podcast. I am so honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So I had the opportunity to meet you at the Beauty Brand Believe Expo last year, and you did such a bang up job, like talking about branding, and it was just so fun to watch you in your element in action like that. So for those that do not yet know you, would you just give a little bit of background about your story and your connection to pageantry, and then what you're up to now?
Sure. Well, I have been in pageantry since before you were born. I know that's a really long time. But yeah, I started when I was in my 20s, so I wasn't all that young, back in the 1980s. So I've been doing this for a really long time, but I love it. You know, I am just drawn to helping young women become young ladies and become everything that they can be. And I've gotten to watch so many young women just become these amazing, amazing people. And so that's why I do it. That's why I'm still in it after all these years.
Yes. And you've probably seen a lot of the industry develop and change. You know, personal development has really taken a forefront in the pageant industry. And it's a lot of the work that you do in terms of branding and in terms of charisma and teaching people how to walk and how to be, you know. So tell me a little bit about what you're up to now.
Well, I'm still involved. I actually do a lot of judging. I just got back from the Miss Wyoming USA pageant last weekend and the Miss Montana pageant the weekend before. And I've got Miss Idaho USA coming up as well. So I do a lot of judging. I also do a lot of coaching. Been coaching for close to 20 years now. So that's something I really enjoy because I like the sort of nitty gritty of teaching girls the technical part of there's a walk. There's a technical part of the walk, as well as just becoming, character-wise who they're going to be. There's a lot of technique, and I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, so true. Lots of strategy. So I know in your life, you have lived many lives. You have experience in so many different industries, which I'm sure contributes a lot to how you relate to the women that you work with because you have such a wide variety of background. Could you share a little bit about your career history and the different elements that you moved through after your pageant career?
Yes. Well, I took a bit of a detour, and that was into manufacturing. But what I loved about that time that I spent in manufacturing was I was running a manufacturing company. So I learned a lot about leadership, about business, about customer service, quality of work, all of those sorts of things. And that was something that really could apply to then owning my own business. And that, even though I have moved through a number of different things, including starting my own women's fashion line about 2 years ago. Before that, I had my own television show, which was about travel and shopping and fashion and style all around the world. Those things were very much a part of who I am and who I've always been. But I sort of needed that detour to learn the business side of things. And I think that then prepared me to jump off and do some of the other, fun things that I've gotten to do.
Yes, absolutely. And you do get to do some fun stuff. I love that. All your creative elements kind of rolled into one. So last year you talked at the Beauty Brand Believe Expo, you spoke on branding. And there's this very trendy concept right now in pageantry about the pageant brand. And it can be sometimes kind of confusing for people who have not started a business or haven't worked with big brands before. Can you help me just understand a little bit, and for our listeners, what is a pageant brand and how do you develop it?
Sure. Well, my thing that I was talking about was really branding your look. And that just boils down to being who you are. Now, you can be better. You can always be improving. So it's not that your brand stays the same, but there's a consistency through it that no matter what you're doing, you are who you are. And is what I think is most important about pageantry, is that's helping you find out what that is and then taking it up to the nth degree and becoming the best that you can be as your personal brand. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I talked about was how when people meet you for the first time, they only have like 7 seconds and they've made a first impression. So you control what that impression is. And this is especially important on stage and in your interview, that you say, this is me, this is who I am, and that you've defined who that is. And you can pick many different words to define who that is. For example, I like the word glamorous. I want to be glamorous all the time, whether I'm going to the grocery store or going to a baseball game or in front of people speaking. I want to be glamorous. That is part of my brand. And anytime you see me, you will say, she looks glamorous.
Right. Yeah. How true that is. Yes. So let me ask you this, because, and this is like to be really, really real, because oftentimes we have this vision of, I want to be glamorous, but when I step into that glamorous role, it's exhausting. It's not really me. It's a big stretch, and I don't have the clothes and I don't have the look. And so how do you help contestants to discover what's theirs to define, I guess?
Yes, that's a very good point. Because if you're trying to be glamorous, and glamorous is my word, it can be somebody else's as well, but it's not for that many people. So there are many other words. It might be professional, it might be trendy, it might be chic, it might be sophisticated or classy, avant-garde. I mean, there's many different concepts that you can come up with that are you. And if you pick something that's truly you, it will permeate everything that you do. So I think the key is to not try to be something that you are not because you think that is what you should be.
So true. So do you have some practical tips for somebody who is looking to create their brand or really discover their internal brand? What should they do?
Well, I think the first step comes to trying to come up with adjectives or descriptive words that are something about you. And if you can't come up with any, then ask your friends, your parents, your support group, because those people will say, oh, you're very fill in the blank. And so that, I think, helps, especially young women whose style and it's still evolving and they haven't yet become who they're going to be. And so that's good to get lots of input and just start with describing who you are and who you think you want to be.
Yeah. So when in your life did this concept click for you? Like, when did you define yourself as glamorous and step into that?
That's a good question. I think I probably became aware of that maybe 20 odd years ago. And that was when I started speaking a lot to women's groups and young women. I used to speak to the Phoenix Honors Cotillion, and that is high school senior girls. So I did that for over 20 years. And because I had to teach it to other people, I had to be pretty darn good at being, if I'm going to teach it, I have to be it.
Yes.
I have to model it. I have to live what I'm talking about. And so I think that's when I really made that sort of jump into stop evolving and become who I was going to be.
Wow. So was that a difficult process for you? Were there certain stumbling blocks? Really?
No.
Tell me more. Why?
No.
Why so easy?
It was almost like the light bulb went on, right? You just, oh, this is me. And I think the older you get, the more comfortable you become with who you are. And in your teens and 20s, it truly is about finding who you are. And you get a little older than that and you go, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I wear what I want. I wear sequins to the grocery store and I don't care because it's just me. And people get that that's just me. And I think young girls can get to that point. Whatever it is, whoever it is that they want to be, if you wear it with confidence and you act like this is what I am, take it or leave it. People will accept it.
Yes, so true. And I think people will also be attracted to that in many ways.
Absolutely.
How have you seen your career or the success of your clients grow as a result of stepping into their brand?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I think it's more just that watching them become comfortable with who they are. Do you know that sort of sense of all of a sudden, oh, here I am. I am me and I am comfortable. And they walk different, they act different, they talk different because now it's just like, okay, here I am. And I love who I am. And I'm proud of who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's that like perfect integrity of the internal and the external. So
Very
it's like,
much so.
yeah,
It's the balance, isn't it?
right.
Yes.
Yeah. When you know it inside, it's like that inner knowing. And then you really feel confident projecting that because you just feel aligned with that message. That's such a huge level of confidence.
True. And I think part of that comes from the skills that you get from pageantry to let the outside match the inside. I mean, we all kind of know who we are on the inside, but sometimes there's that dichotomy that the two don't match each other. And that's where the beauty and the reward is of watching these young women.
Absolutely, yeah. So may I ask you personally, how have you used your brand of glamorous, and I'm sure there's other elements that you see as an element of that, how have you seen that kind of change and maybe even be just a common thread through all of these various things that you've done in your life?
Well, again, because it's sort of who I am, but I've also chosen industries that make use of that sort of thing. Yeah. So having my own TV show, you need to be a little bit glamorous to do that. And having my own fashion line, a lot of my clothes were very much glamorous type of clothes. And so, yes, it's been sort of a thread through everything. But what it really has sort of led me to is my next subject that I'm going to be talking about at the Beauty Brand Believe seminar, Pageant Expo, which is coming up in March. And that is the secret to developing star power. So part of, becoming who you are and that comfort level and that, being confident in your own skin is part of your star power. And so that's something that I have developed over time. And now I'm able to teach other young women how to develop their star power.
Oh, I love it. And that concept of star power, I did a podcast several episodes ago about star power and this idea of how being a star, when someone walks into the room, it's like an electric energy that just pulls you, and how similar that is to the stars of the universe. How you can see it from far away, it's there, these same kind of concepts. So I'm excited to hear that talk at the expo. That's going to be great.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me a bit more about your experience with coaching and what do you do with pageant clients? Do you do everything? Is it a comprehensive program or is it really specific in one area or another?
No, it's very much comprehensive. Really, the only thing that I don't do is like sponsorship. Helping the girls find their sponsors. I think they need to do that on their own because it's a skill that they develop. Going to ask people for money, that's a hard thing, and they have to learn it, how to do it. So I don't do that for them. Pretty much everything else I do. And I would say that my favorite things are really the walking, because that is developing that star power through your posture, your poise, your carriage, and sort of how you are presenting yourself. So that's one of my favorite things. The talent preparation, if there is a talent, that's also one of my favorites. I happen to be a professional pianist, is one of the things that I do.
You are.
And so, so I do a lot of performing. So helping the girls really understand about entertainment value and stage presence through a performance. That's one of my favorite things. And then I also love to write. So, helping them write their speeches, write their introductions, work with their paperwork. That's also one of the things I really enjoy.
It's so great. And it really does take a full team for a pageant woman to make it to the top. And for pageant women, it's important that they find somebody that enjoys all of those elements like you're describing, someone who enjoys the walk. And that's like their thing. And that's why someone who enjoys writing, because no one person can love everything under the sun. So you just got to find the right people and then connect them. True. Yeah, I love that.
That is true. But one of the even more important things I think is sewing into the character development of these young girls. And again, this is part of the developing your star power, is that you cannot have star power, one, unless you're confident, but confidence and humility goes hand in hand, because confidence without humility is conceit. And so helping them understand the fine line between how do you become confident without becoming conceited, and just developing some of those inner qualities that are so important. And as much as I love the walking, the presentation, all of those sorts of things, helping them develop their character has really got to be sort of, that's the ground, the starting point, the foundation that we build. And that's what makes an incredible young woman who's able to go on and become a title holder.
Absolutely. And then to be an amazing title holder once she has the job too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it.
That's
So
true.
as a judge, what is it that you are really looking for in the winner?
Oh boy, that is a complicated question because there's so many things.
Yeah.
And part of it is, you have such a short amount of time to really make a connection with the girl. And obviously most of that is done in interview, but the girl who comes in and owns it, and she's comfortable just speaking in front of people, but comfortable with who she is and knows who she is, there's something really, really beautiful about that. And so that's charismatic to me, and that grabs my attention. And then, of course, once she gets on stage, I want to see someone who's comfortable not only in an intimate environment, close on with people, but also who is confident in front of a lot of people. And there's something that just speaks to this girl will be able to handle all of the responsibilities of a title holder if she's comfortable out there on stage. And so those are just maybe a couple little things that I look
I
for.
love that. And that's the star power, is that, when a woman's walking around on stage, how else are you supposed to know, like, okay, she can handle it, other than that star power shining through? Yeah.
That's right. Because, there's a lot of girls up there that are qualified and maybe had previous titles or that sort of thing. And you think, okay, they would be a good Miss so-and-so. But are they going to be the type of Miss so-and-so who can go on to the national or international level and carry her own? Have enough star power to be in the midst of many beautiful, talented, accomplished young women and still shine. Yeah. And so that's something also that you want to look for, that little special something that makes her stand out.
I love that. And isn't it so hard to describe? It's like
It
star
is.
power. How do we say that? Yeah. Oh, it's so true, but you're right. And as you develop women, I agree with you. Like, you're describing the foundation. I think so many women, it's so fun to talk hair and makeup and to talk about wardrobe and to practice a million questions. But really, it comes down to that core of, who is this woman and how is she going to be developed, and what's her character like, and that type of thing. So it's so brilliant that you really begin with that. Tell me, what is your inspiration for continuing to develop pageant women?
Well, for me, it's a calling. I just feel this in my spirit, that this is something that God has called me to do, and that I love making the connection. Most of the girls I work with, we become friends, and it's more than just the client, coach relationship. It's friends. And of course, I never married and I never had any children of my own. So these girls, they become my daughters. And that to me is just, something really, really special.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is a special relationship because you're able to develop that depth, and especially working with you in multiple different areas in pageantry, and creating the brand, and helping them really step into who they are, develop confidence. Yeah. I can only imagine that is just rocking the world of a lot of these women. So that's great.
Oh, you hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Do
you know that you don't? Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, my question is, do you tend to work with younger girls, or like middle school, high school, or do you prefer working with Mrs. Contestants?
My favorite really is from about 13 to maybe 27, just sort of that middle range. I have worked with the older contestants, and they're always so accomplished. I enjoy working with them as well. But there's something about getting these young women before they've had a lot of extra doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Where you're trying to take things out. Or gals who've been what I call overcoached, and they become so proficient and so polished that they have lost their authenticity and the sort of genuineness that made them a great title holder to begin with.
Yeah.
So working with that too, that's something I enjoy, helping them find their authentic self again. And as for girls younger than 12 or 13, it's not my forte. So there are plenty of other people that do that. So I kind of like to concentrate on ages that are relatable to me.
Yeah, that's great. Good. So now you have experience as a title holder as well. So
Back in the dark ages before
No!
you were born.
I know. I want to talk about it because it's so interesting, for women who are just pining to step on the Miss USA stage. I'm just so curious to hear your experience of it, even at that time. What was being a title holder like for you?
It was like being a movie star. Oh my goodness, it was so amazing. And even then, I mean, this was in the early 1980s, so we didn't have all of the resources that we have now available. And so I wasn't as prepared, but I was prepared in what I could do. But I had an amazing year, and just not only as Miss Idaho USA, but also at the Miss USA pageant. I mean, it was 17 days of people asking for autographs and pictures being taken and just feeling like a movie star, and truly one of the highlights of my life.
Wow, how cool. So what advice do you have for women who present day are now going to be going, because a lot has changed, of course, as you said, in the now social media is so important and popular, and somebody who's able to interact with media and just keep a busy schedule, it's so intense. What is the recommendation you have for women that are attending the Miss USA pageant to not just make it through the week and still feel like themselves at the end of it, but to even be successful in the pageant itself?
Well, I like to think of it as it's a preparation for life. So rather than focus on being successful at the pageant itself, focus on those things which you're going to take with you and you will have the rest of your life. So to enjoy every single moment. Worry less about posting, I was doing this, I was doing that, and do this or that. Just enjoy every single moment. Because as I said, 20 years from now, when you look back, you will think, this was one of the most amazing things I got to do. And I want to remember every single thing about it. And if you do that, then again, you sort of head back into that authentic, genuine self. And then you show well because you're just excited and you're passionate and you're ready to be there because, you've already done all the preparation. You've already prepared for your competition. You don't need to do that while you're there. Enjoy it instead.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And then you feel filled too. You feel whole. So you're not stepping out on the stage after having just done all these things and have your mind all over the place. You're like really prepared to,
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
present your best
Well,
self.
you're not trying to lose the last 2 pounds, and you're not trying to you don't have anything left to do except enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really beautiful about young women who can just say, I've done all the work. I'm confident. I'm here now. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Do you feel like, were you able to do that? Like, because it sounds so beautiful, but it's got to be really hard to do, right? So is this something you were able to do?
Yes.
And how?
My philosophy before I went was have no regrets. So
Okay.
I didn't want to have a regret that I didn't have a beautiful gown, and I didn't want to have a regret that I wasn't at the right weight, or that I had spent time working out, or that I had done everything that I needed to do to be as fully prepared as I could be. And then that way, okay, I didn't win, but I have no regrets. Like I can't look back and say, if I had just done this, I would have done better. I did the best that I could.
Yeah.
And so, having no regrets is something that I often tell my girls. And if you can get to that point, then you can just enjoy the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a beautiful way to even set up training, because when you're thinking, like, I love how you just said, like, I want the dress that I want. Like, I don't want to regret, I should have gotten the purple one, or I should have, yeah, I know you do. You have to be really conscious throughout the entire process to be aware of what do I need to do, kind of set yourself back. So if you have a certain weight in mind, you can prepare for that. And yeah,
Right.
so,
And that's really part of your branding too, as we were talking about earlier, having the right wardrobe, that you're not saying, oh gosh, if I had just spent an extra X number of dollars, I could have gotten do what you need to do to be your best. And then you will have no regrets.
right. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I just want to capture that. Say that again. Do what you do best, so that you will have no regrets.
No regrets.
Oh,
There's probably a rhyme. There's a rhyme in there somewhere.
It is. I know. I felt like I wanted to dance to it a little. Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful. Wow. So cool. Well, any parting advice that you have for people who've never competed before? They're preparing for their very first pageant. Where do they begin?
Well, I think trying to find someone who can help you, because it is an investment and nobody likes to throw good money after bad. So if you're going to make an investment, it's worth finding someone, a coach, someone who, former title holder, or maybe just a friend who's done it before, so that you can have a little bit of advice. Now, once you get in and you do it, then you realize, okay, that was a good training exercise. Now I need to reevaluate and maybe do a few things different. But that way you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I spent $400 on a dress and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it's better to spend that extra little bit of money and get some help up front. But the second thing is to truly understand that, yes, it's a competition, but you're not competing against anyone else. You're competing against yourself. Because most of the time, the judging is not, well, this girl's better than that girl. It's, is this girl the best that she can be? And as a judge, I look at that. I want to see that this girl has done her preparation and that she's the best that she can be. And if she's not, but she has potential, I want her to stay in the program, maybe for another year or two, because she just gets better and better and becomes more confident and more ready to become the title holder that she has the potential to be. So if you go into it first time thinking, I'm not competing against anyone else, I'm just going to compete against myself and be the best that I can be, then you will have a great experience.
Yeah, I love that. And it really is about, at the end of the day, everyone becomes a has-been. Like you have your experiences, you win the title, you win the next title, you win 3 titles. But then after that, you move on with your career, you move on. So it's the experience that truly creates what you might step into next in terms of life or career, business, anything.
True. Yeah. And you take it with you. You take all of those skills, all that experience, everything that you've learned with you.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
That's why I love pageantry.
Yeah, totally. Me too. Oh, wow. Well, Kerry, I just want to take a moment to honor you for the work that you are doing in this space, because women need you and they need that positive energy and somebody that's able to strategically plan things out, look at the technical aspects, because those may not be the most exciting parts, but they're so important. And so I'm just so grateful that you are out there doing this good work from such a positive, centered, like divinely driven place, because that's really where we need it the most.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I do, because I love it.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Well, so let's tell our listeners, where can they find you, or how do they get in touch with you if they're interested in working with you?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to be at the Beauty Brand Believe Pageant Expo, which will be March 10th in Bellevue, Washington. So that's very exciting. And I will be presenting there, which you will too.
Yes, so, I know. Yes, I'm excited. Yeah,
that's very exciting. Now, what are you going to be presenting on?
So mine's all about interview. The coaching that I do really hones in on interview. So I'm going to be hosting the event, but then also speaking on interview, which is my passion.
Cool. Yeah. The girls need that, and they're so interested. They love to hear about it. So I know that will be very popular session. And of course, I mentioned I will be doing developing the secret to developing your star power. But we will have a number of other fabulous presenters. Luciera, who is an international runway coach, she will be there, and she takes private appointments. So that will be exciting that the girls can actually meet her and work with her. Jorge Esteban from Pageant Smart will be there, so you can work with him also one-on-one. So we just have an amazing group of people, and of course, I will be there. I won't actually be taking private appointments because my time is spent working with the title holders that are there, and that pretty much is my whole weekend. So, but anyway, you can find me if you want to at kerrydamiano.com. So I have some information there. Would love to hear from some of your listeners.
That sounds great. Good. Well, it has been such a pleasure. I am super pumped to see you present again at the expo. Your energy is just fills the room. I know last year we had was it 200 people in the audience? There's going to be even more this year.
Yes, yes. Well, there'll be more this time because we're expanding what we're doing. Not only is the expo itself going to be a little bit longer, it'll go from about 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. But after that, we're doing something really, really new and exciting, which is the Global Beauty Awards. And this is going to be like the Academy Awards for pageantry. And there are 49 categories that they will be presenting awards for. Things like best title holder, best evening gown, best designer, best coach, best makeup artist, photographer, just the whole gamut of everything associated with pageantry. So this is very exciting. It's the first time that this group, Northwest Productions, is putting this on. It's going to be streaming, so everyone will be able to see it, but it will make a really complete day. You can do the expo in the morning and then the award show in the afternoon, and then there'll be a dinner afterwards. So it'll be quite exciting.
Total, it's power packed. And still a one day, which I like, because then you have a day for travel. You can spend the day networking with meeting other pageant women. Such a fun time. And then recover and fly home on Sunday if necessary. And,
That's right.
and Bellingham is near Washington. Just for listeners who are like, where is that?
It's Bellevue
Seattle.
this year.
Oh,
Last
Bellevue.
year was Bellingham.
That's
this is in Bellevue, which is very close to SeaTac Airport.
Yeah.
So easy for everybody to get to.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited. Cool, Kerry. Well, thank you again for being on the Win a Pageant podcast. It is such an honor to chat with you, and I can't wait to see you at the expo.
Me too. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye for now. Hey, if you want to join us for the Beauty Brand Believe Expo, get all of the information at beautybrandbelieve.com. I would love to meet you there, and I know Kerry would too. She's electric. Wait till you meet her in person. Her energy is just like crazy. It's awesome. So if you want to join us, I would love to meet you. beautybrandbelieve.com. It's March 10th, so I'll see you there. Bye for now.